Welcome to the 20 Podcast, bringing you interviews with the best DJs, producers, and music industry professionals from around the globe. I'm your host, DJ Spider. DJ Spider! Yes, what is going on, Beatsourcers? What's happening, everybody? How you doing? I'm here. I'm a little tired. I'm a little wrecked, okay? I just got back from Vegas. I don't know if you can see it in my eyes or people listening can hear it in my voice. I'm falling apart, guys. But I'm still here for you, okay? And I got a lot of stories. I need to dedicate an entire episode to all of the insane stories from me DJing the Netflix Cup. If you go tune in on Netflix, there was something called the Netflix Cup. It had F1 drivers and PGA Tour golfers. They were competing together. It was hilarious. It was crazy. I got to DJ on the third and fifth hole and be part of this whole process. And a lot went into it. We actually are going to put out a video, like a gig log, of showing all the different things that went into it and what I had to deal with. It was, once in a lifetime crazy experience. So I want you guys to hear about it. We'll put out that video and I'll let you know. But now I got to talk to you about the podcast. But before we get into that, I got to let you know this podcast is brought to you by Beatsource. Beatsource streaming. That's what you got to use. You can DJ from the cloud. There's an offline locker if you do not have internet access, so you can have all the music downloaded even though it's inside your computer in the locker. We've got expertly curated playlists. We've got every genre. We got edits and things that no other record pools have. So go check it. Beatsource.com. Start your free trial. Let me know what you think. I love it. I've been utilizing it. I used it at the Netflix Cup, baby. Come on. How much bigger can you get? All right, you guys, today, let's talk about the guest. We got someone who plays many roles. He's a producer, a songwriter, a DJ, and an engineer based out of San Francisco. He's the in-house producer and engineer at Empire Records. I have heard that their studio is mind-blowingly dope, so I need to go check that out. His records have been supported by some of the most reputable DJs in the game, like Diplo, Walshy Fire, Major Lazer, Lil Jon, DJ Mustard, to name a few. His music production and engineer credits extend to Bay Area legends like E40 and Too Short, G-Eazy, Stunnaman, Sada Baby, Lil Jon, Kamaya, YG, Chris Brown, Justin Bieber, just to name a few. And now you hear about it in this episode, but he's working with tons of amazing Afrobeats artists like Asha K, Fireboy, and more. He's producing dance records. He's remixing these Afrobeats into Afro house records that are really dope. On this episode, we discuss how his producing has led him to be DJing more. So I know a lot of times you talk to DJs that go into producing, but this is almost the opposite in a way. And now he's DJing all the biggest clubs in San Francisco. He's, they're working. DIRTYBIRD is now part of Empire Records, so he's been doing these dance music festivals. You'll hear all about it on this episode. It's very interesting. A ton of valuable lessons and experience that he has gained on this show, we are able to put into this episode. I think you're going to love it. This man is DJ City family, and I'm so glad he made the trip to be on the show. So please welcome Clayton William. Yo, we're here. It's the 20 Podcast, and I'd like you guys to welcome to the show Clayton William.
What's up, baby? Bah, bah, bah. DJ Spider, what's up, my man?
What up? Yo, thank you for being here.
Hell yeah, it's an honor, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we just, not to brag, but we just got our coffees delivered by the legendary DJ White Shadow,
One of the best producers ever.
And he's right out here, guys. He's just bringing us coffee. Look at that.
You know what's a trip is he told me about this AI program that he was launching like a year and a half ago, and now that shit's out. And we just made a beat together on AI.
So, damn, that's crazy. I want to hear it. No, I've seen him talking about it like online. I want to learn more about it. Like that's
dude, everybody can produce now. Everybody can make beats.
And have you seen that other AI one where you can drag in any sound and it'll replicate it right away? It's like a plug-in.
Yeah, Synplant or some shit.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I downloaded it. I didn't use it yet.
I haven't used it either, but that's crazy.
Dude, nuts.
So you could just take like the, a Too Short song with like boom, 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 boom. And then
give me this bass line.
It'll just make it.
I'm assuming, it takes, again, I don't know exactly how it works, but
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to check that White Shadow one. That's nuts. Yeah, we got some people in the office, some legends, but We got Clayton William here. He came down from the Bay.
What's happening?
We got a lot to talk about. Really appreciate you taking the time. And like we were saying, too, you have a 1-month-old. So it's
brand new baby girl.
A lot of congrats.
You.
You know, and it's a lot of, you know, it takes a lot to come down, you know, and you got a lot going on in your life like that. So thank you, man. So, yeah, how you feeling today?
Man, I'm great. I'm excited to be out here. I mean, you know, I think the biggest transitional things with having a newborn is you got to kind of pause things for a little bit.
Yeah, you do.
So I've been itching to kind of get back to work. I've got
a
lot of dope stuff like on the table that I've been trying to, you know, doing the phone calls and putting stuff together at home. But it's good to be back out in LA. You know, like I was out here for 7 years and then moved home back to the Bay during the pandemic to go take this job / position with Empire.
Right. Yeah. So let's hear more about that. So I guess before we get into it, you want to tell people a little bit about how you got started, or you know what you're into now.
Man, I mean, shout out to the DJ City, Beatsource, Beatport family. You know, like you know, it was about you know, I'd always been making music. I started in radio, so that's how I kind of like learned about DJing.
And you're from the Bay.
Yeah, born and raised in San Jose, California. Worked for iHeart up in San Francisco. And, you know, I got to learn. We didn't have like record labels in the Bay at the time. So radio was like the next closest thing to just getting around the music. Yeah. So I'd be working in radio during the day or night, and then my off time I'd be in the studio or at clubs with my DJ friends. Right. You know, and then long story short, like, you know, West Coast hip hop was, you know, I grew up during the hyphy era, you know, so I learned how to make hyphy beats, but I was going to either hip hop events, or I was going to raves. Yeah. You know, and, you know, then I also grew up on alternative music, and my dad liked the Beatles, my mom liked Stevie Wonder, and so I just had this, you know, and then San Jose, where I'm from, is like the hub of like Latin music in the Bay. So a big plethora of music that I just grew up around. So I grew up liking all these different styles of music, and I think that's what kind of piqued my curiosity as I got into production more. I'm learning these different styles and then going to different parties with my DJ friends, and then I start dabbling in the DJ stuff, you know. So I mean, that's kind of the beginning phases, you know. That's
dope. And so I know, like, because I remember seeing your name. I mean, I knew you as a producer. Like, I remember seeing your name on the collaborations with like E-Rock and different people. And I think we have other mutual friends that come from the Bay and do production. And so, and I think, you know, before we got into it, we were having an interesting conversation about how you've always been into DJing and production, but the way that it's gone now, you've been making so much stuff that has led you to go back into DJing, and you've had to kind of learn more aspects of DJing to be able to perform your music and do things at festivals and different things like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's been, I mean, my story is probably reversed from maybe like yours, where you're like, you're this, you know, multi-dimensional DJ, scratch, like you play all these genres, and you're a fucking pro at it, right? For me, it was like, as I started to jump into the EDM or remix space, then I started getting hit up by promoters to come and play. So I had to figure that shit out.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And thank God, like, you know, shout out to like, you know, some of my friends, DJ E-Rock or Romeo or Jay Espinoza or Miles Medina, like legendary Bay Area DJs, Jazzy Jim, Alex Mejia. Like, I've grown up, I've had so many dope DJ friends that the bar has been set very high. Yeah. You know, so I just, you know, you want to get out there and perform, and do well and rock the crowd. And I've used, shout out to, like, you know, rest in peace, a friend of mine, DJ Leslie Perez. He passed away a few years ago. He actually taught me when I was like 21 years old. Like, I thought I would hear an edit play on the radio, and I thought he was doing all that shit live. Right. And come to find out, he was making these edits, constructing them in production, and then blending them together. Right. And I was like, oh, I can do that. Yeah. I can't cut. Like, Jay's one of the best scratchers I've ever seen in my life, right? I know. But I can do that. Right. And so I took a different approach to DJing. Yeah. You know. That's interesting. Yeah, and I think that's the key to all of this. You know what I mean? You experiment with all the different things, and then you slowly find the things that you're passionate about, that you feel like you can do, that you feel like you could add to that side of the culture, and all that. I mean, and now you've produced
so many dope things, worked with so many dope artists, you know, some of the legends in the Bay and E40 and all types of people. Yeah. And now you're at Empire, which Empire seems like it's been exploding. I mean, right? Like over the past, I don't know how long, right?
It's been a little over a decade.
Yeah, I was going to say about 10 years, right?
Yeah,
and
where it's really cemented itself. It started in the distribution marketing side.
Okay.
But now as a label,
right.
I think we're one of like eighth, don't quote me on this, but I think we're like the 8th largest music company in the world, like as far as like catalog and market share. And then as a label, it's been the last like 4 or 5 years. Like it's really, you know, from like Tyga Taste. Yeah. To now, like, you know, Fireboy Peru with Ed Sheeran. You know, so multi-platinum, you know, records that have just
and multi-genre. I mean, when I heard they were like Empire, you know, has acquired DIRTYBIRD Records, and I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. And then I was even digging deeper into it, like, wow, they're really versatile and diverse with the type of genres and artists they're working with. And I know you guys are huge in the Afrobeat scene, which is now exploding in America, you know, and it's been bubbling for a while, but you guys work with some of the top artists and then have the dance music stuff and the hip hop stuff and everything, right?
Well, it's been really cool. Like this past month, we just released a compilation called House of Empire, and they launched it at ADE in Amsterdam. Oh, dope. So, I mean, unfortunately, I couldn't go because my baby was being born like literally that week. Well,
that makes sense.
But it was so cool to see because it was a project like Ashake, Fireboy, LAX. There's a handful of artists that are really blossoming in Africa, Europe, and other parts of the world. And it was like last year we had a writing camp in San Francisco. And so we wrote a bunch of these records that made their projects. And then this past like 6 months, we spent remixing them for this compilation that came out at ADE. Wow. And it was a Afro house compilation, taking these songs and remixing them into the dance space. So it was really cool to see like how, because our dance department is only like a year old, so it's still very young. Yeah. But it's cool to see us pulling together the resources within our ecosystem. Yeah. And then, I mean, bro, to see like the promotion that happened at AD, I'm having FOMO at home, like holding my newborn, and I'm like, this is dope. Like they rented out like a cathedral to throw this massive party at ADE to showcase the music, you know, and they're bringing out DIRTYBIRD DJs and other DJs from around different parts of the world. Yeah. And so I'm just grateful to like be a part of this ecosystem, this network, you know, this family of creatives that we're, you know, shout out to Ghazi and Nima and Tina. Like we have great leadership. Yeah. And that trickles from the top down, you know, so
I'm sure
it's fun.
That's great. And yeah, those artists, I mean, those are those three, you know, Afrobeats artists that you named alone are like staples in my set at this place, the Flow Room I do every week. Like I play all their stuff, you know, and every time I see them put out a new track, I'm playing them. Even not like LAX has a bunch of tracks that I play. Dope. And of course, you know, Ashake and like all that stuff. So
and Ashake and Fireboy and
Fireboy,
they just got nominated for a Grammy.
It's amazing. Yeah, and I remember finding these Fireboy tracks maybe 5 years ago and being like, this is so dope. And I was playing them like at Highlight Room and pre-pandemic, you know, and then to see where it's come, it's huge, you know. And then I also really think that house music, from what I've seen just going out, is the kind of the tech house thing where the remixing the R&B is slowly starting to fade out and be played out in a way, because I feel like people did it, unless you're doing it very tastefully and cool and good, it's being oversaturated. Right. But I'm noticing that Afro house, you know, is the thing that is on its way up. Like, and you even see like David Guetta just came out of the track.
He did.
And it's like, and a lot of people that were just at, it's crazy, right? So, and a lot of the people that were at ADE, I think, you know, and I'm even getting requests from like random people coming up, yo, you play Afro House, bro? And I'm like, that's okay, crazy. I don't know. Yeah. That's how you know it's starting to trickle into more of the mainstream. Yeah. And it's even in the dance music world, it's starting to infiltrate. Because I think it has a musical feeling to it that's different than the straight ahead, like, I just took this loop off Splice and I put it under it. You know, it's the drums are different. You can dance better.
The tribalness. Yeah, you know, I think like even Skrillex had on his last project, he had like an Afro house track, and I think like shout out to Moody Jones, he executive produced that House of Empire compilation. Like when I first got over to Empire, you know, Moody and I really hit it off because we're like, dude, we love just international music in general.
Right.
And so he starts sending me like, he turned me on to Black Coffee, you know, about 4 or 5 years ago. And so I'm like studying these like I'm a piano sets, and I'm like, dude, where's the kick drum? Like 7 minutes will go by. And again, I love the genre and the space, but I'm like, now how do we take some of these vibes and make it palatable for, per se, our audience? Or like in San Francisco, like the tech house, deep house, like space, you know, like you mentioned DIRTYBIRD, like the kind of out there, you know, housey, blippy, you know, tech house sound. Like it's been dominant since I was a kid.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think DIRTYBIRD is known as one of the ones that do it from a artistic, real standpoint. Those people are not trying to make some, hey, I remix Ciara, let me see if I can get 1 billion streams, which is nothing wrong with either one, but I think they're like the real underground ones of it, right? And
then I feel like my approach has kind of been like in the middle. Yeah. You know, we're like...
Which is like, like you said, DJ City, we're making it palatable. Even like at Floor Room, I'll play like Asha K, but then I'll do a blend using Serato stems and put Beyonce over it. Yeah. So like people are like, I think I know, I know this. Oh, but I still the same beat. Okay, I'm back. Oh, it's Mona Lisa, but it has Drake over it. Oh, you know, and then you, like you said, you make it palatable. You let the people that would go, what is this? This sucks. You know, give them something to feel like, oh, I like it. Then slowly they like all of it, you know? Exactly. So we're helping to like spread it into the...
Right. And that's like the psychology of music and how we get people to familiarize their taste, you know? Yeah, I mean, and essentially like that's how I looked at the Amapiano Afro genre. I was like, look, I'm not from Africa, so I'm not going to sit here and try to replicate, like there's this producer Magic, like I got to work with him, like engineering and just kind of helping like them co-write with the Shake and stuff. But dude, so like, it's in him, you know, like he is that sound, you know? So I'm not like, I'll give him ideas, but bro, like you're the sound. Like I'm not going to try to duplicate or replicate or copy what you're doing, but hey, let me study this. We can write songs together because I can help kind of shape it for how it could work out here. But then man, give me the stems. Yeah. And let me fuck it up for the dance floor. Right. You know? And for what I know that our audience is gonna like. Yes. And I think that's kind of been the fusion, and that was kind of like the motivation behind this Afro House compilation. Yeah. And it's really cool to know like we're on the forefront of it just as a company and as a team. Yeah, and that shit's been exciting, man.
That's great. That's super exciting. No, I love it. And I love it's just good music, a lot of it too. You know what I mean? So it's not like you're pushing something to some marketing team where it's like it sucks. You know what I mean? It's like, I love this stuff. I will naturally share it with people. Like, that's the thing. I've had some of, like, Asha K's people and A&R people coming into Floor Room being like, how do you know this stuff? Or why are you playing this? And I'm like, I don't know. I just literally find it and I like it. I'm just trying to share good music with people. And they're like, oh, I work with them, or I work with Empire, or, you know, different people have been in there. And I'm like, it's dope, you know, because it's like, it's genuinely coming from a good place.
Yeah. I feel like it's almost like the new R&B.
Yes, and it's easily mixed with the R&B, and there's something about the R&B that's getting a bit saturated too. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's doing R&B party, and like some of them have been doing it for a long time and are dope, and some of them are like just trying to latch onto the theme.
I mean,
you know?
and coming from the Bay, I feel like West Coast R&B got really, really ratchet for a while, and so now it's like, you know, we can bring the love back. Yes, a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So. That's true. So then what's your like role at Empire? How would you describe it?
Matt, I mean, I'm an in-house producer, engineer, and DJ for the company, you know. It's been really cool. Not only being in the studio and like I've known Little John for about 7-8 years because some of the remixes I had done, like I took some of him and Too Short, Shake That Monkey, and that's how I got introduced to him as a producer DJ prior, but he just came over and did a project with us. And so
Little John did?
Yeah, so we've actually put out 2 songs already. What We On with, so it's Little John, Pilo, E40, and DuBois. Yeah. And then the second single that just came out is with this girl named Nai, which is a hot female rapper from the Bay. Okay. And Little John. And then I'm trying to work on some remixes for those to get those out into other spaces, you know.
And Lil Jon's always been an integral part of Bay Area music, even though he's from Atlanta. But I mean, Tell Me When to Go
and Blow the Whistle.
Yeah. Like songs that never died.
Yeah, for sure.
That keep going to this day.
Yeah, he's from Atlanta, but he's one of the biggest Bay Area producers ever.
Yeah. And actually, I can't go past us talking about this without shouting out Trackademics, because we were just talking about it. I was saying I did this gig in Vegas, and Marshawn Lynch was going to be there, so I was going through all my old Bay Area stuff, and I was like trying to make a crate for him, and I found the Trackademics remix of Tell Me When to Go, speaking of Lil Jon and E40, and I was like, this is classic. Like, it just still brings back that instantly that feeling right when you hear it and the singing. So shout to Trackademics.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. Like I love Trackademics. I actually just reached out to him, last week for this new project that we're going to be working on. But he's like one of the few guys, and he's been a huge inspiration in my career, because he has classic Bay Area hip hop records that he's produced, but he's also released on Fool's Gold, done gigs with A-Track, and he's done the spectrum as a producer DJ.
Right.
And I admire that,
Yeah. He that's what we were saying too, is that remix allowed Tell Me When to Go and the hyphy music to go into the banana split hipster hype machine kind of world in a way, where it was like people were listening to Justice and all that, but then you could go into that kind of set, and then it was still working in that way, where it was like on the dance floor and could be remixed, and then different people coming into it. And even like with the Chicago sound and the juke sound, it was like all went together in this weird way.
That's dope.
Yeah. So yeah, what about like the whole DIRTYBIRD thing? Like, how did that come about, and how has that been with DIRTYBIRD and Empire being together?
So I mean, before I took my role at Empire, like, I knew I needed to get with a team. Like, I was out in LA, like, really kind of just moving around, like, getting in where I could fit in. And you know how it goes, bro. If you don't have, like, the team that's really going to help you move into the places you want to get to, it gets rough out here.
Right. So there's so many producers, so many artists, so many DJs.
Right.
And you have to kind of have these relationships.
You need your team. And so it came to a point where I knew I needed a squad. I really need to commit to, hey, who's been there for me?
Yeah.
For my damn near my entire career.
Right.
And when I talked to Ghazi about, hey, are you guys going to start they were just starting their publishing team, and the label. And so as I'm kind of vetting the situation, like making sure it's going to fit, because I didn't know if I wanted to leave LA yet. Like, it's it's fun out here. You can go and work with a ton of people. But again, I knew I needed that team. So, but I'm hearing that this is on the forefront.
Yeah.
The DIRTYBIRD, or there's a possibility that Empire could get into the dance space. This lit me up, because I'm like, oh man, you're now taking both of my, like, these are my two loves in music. I mean, I love a lot of things
but
in music,
you've been known in your production. Every time I download it, it's hip hop elements, but it's dance floor based, a lot of your stuff, right?
Yeah, it's very I produce for the DJ. I produce it with the mindset of, how do I make people dance?
Yeah.
And so as I'm hearing that this is a possibility, it was cool, because I think I'm in the Bay at this time, like, we're just like, pandemic's kind of going on, but like Chris Lake and Fisher are doing a show in the Bay, and Moody takes Ghazi to see this show, and it's absolutely ape shit.
Right.
And
is that one in the streets? Like
in Oakland.
Yeah, and it just looked like
it was massive.
There was like drone shots of just like sea of people.
Yeah. And I think he got it at that point. He's like, okay, because I think his approach might have been like, house music can be great for remixing some of our big songs, but I think once he's seen that, and he went to the DIRTYBIRD campouts that were happening, he really got to see the culture that Claude Von Stroke and or Barclay and the DIRTYBIRD team has built over a decade plus of creating this community. And I think it really resonated not only with him but the whole team. And as I was hearing that was about to happen, it just excited me, because I was like, okay, it's one thing to try to make big songs and try to do the placement game, but at this stage in my life, I cared more about community.
Yes.
I just had a son, at this time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can I really get rooted into something so I don't feel like I'm chasing? So I feel like I can really like hone in on my core values, on what makes me authentic as an artist, as a producer, as a DJ. And then it was dope, you know. So the merger happens, we start Empire Dance, and now we're into this, you know, DIRTYBIRD is DIRTYBIRD. They have their brand. And then they just announced the deal with, are you familiar with Aluna?
Of course.
So she used to go by.
She was on the podcast.
She's freaking phenomenal.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
Like to me, she's the queen of like modern dance music right now.
Super dope.
You know, I've been a fan of her since, you know, Luna George and the DJ Snake kind of era. Yeah. And then watching her explode over this transition of dance music and where it's at, she's really like a pioneer.
I agree.
And so we did a deal with her label.
Oh, dope.
And so she, it's, you have to go to her page to check out the name. I think it's like Noir Fever. But they just did the first release, like literally like last week.
Amazing.
And so it's like, it's cool to see the umbrella of Empire Dance, like going after like labels. We also have the Martinez brothers out of New York. We're doing a project with them. Yeah, they're super dope. You know, they're out in Ibiza playing. Mm-hmm. And then we started this this sub label called Disposable Records, and it's like a disposable camera. Like that's kind of like the whole theme.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. Yeah, I'd heard of it. I wasn't sure.
And well, the cool thing about it is like now this is an opportunity because like each one of these labels that they're bringing on kind of have their own lane. Yeah. And this particular sub label is about just finding new hot stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of like an opportunity for the new DJ producer to get heard or be put through the system. Or it might be maybe an off-brand thing that a producer's doing and they're just like, hey, let's get it out.
Yeah.
Or samples, and there's hella samples in it, and you know, hey, they might not do a full release on it, but let's do a SoundCloud campaign, see if it hits, and if it hits, then we can go get samples cleared.
Right.
So it's stuff like that. And you know, so it's cool to be at the ground level of where that's going.
That's really cool. Yeah, and it's a great concept too, just to be able to give people that musical freedom that they need without the insane pressure that's always on, like, will this be worth the marketing dollars? Yeah. And like you said, or do things with samples that might hit or might not, and not worry about, oh, we got to go through all the legalities and the time. Put it out on SoundCloud, see if it resonates with DJs, and then it's like, oh shit, we gotta bounce with it, rock with it, you know, whatever. It's like, okay, let's clear that.
Yeah, and you can run it through the record pools and at least kind of see, like, you could test market it and see kind of like what's the temperature. And then I think another cool element is we started a party, so we were on our second one. It's called No Pressure. Like, I'm like, dude, like I'm about to have a baby. Like I kind of don't want, like I don't want to be out and be worried about trying to book gigs right now. Yeah. But I still want to like do something for our community in San Francisco and get the DJ homies together. Like, but I want it to be about the music. Mm-hmm. I don't want no pressure. Right. And so as I'm talking to Moody about like what we're gonna like, he's like, what do you want to call it? And I say those two things, and he's like, let's call it that. And I'm like, what, about the music? He's like, no pressure. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's tight. And so we started a No Pressure party. And so it's literally about the DJ producer community coming together in San Francisco. Right now it's once a month, but it's like, hey, come through, play your stuff, and if they like it, let's sign it. Right. You know, and let's get it out. Let's test it. Let's see what's going on. And so yeah, it's cool to be a part of building the community. Yeah,
it's such a good title because it just, you instantly feel a little bit more relaxed as a DJ or producer coming into it. You know, you're just like, yeah, I'm going to do this party, but you know, no pressure. No pressure.
But then of course me, like 2 hours before the set, I'm like,
so much pressure.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, cool. What edits do I got to make this shit tight? You know.
But it's dope. It's a dope name. It's catchy, and it goes with the theme of it, and that's really cool.
And then, you know, hopefully eventually we'll be able to bring it down here, and expand it into other markets.
Right. But have the whole ADE.
Yeah, exactly. But with the whole goal of, hey, let's the DJs who are making music, let's give them a hub. Let's give them a channel to put their stuff out.
Right, because it does get very like clicked up or like very small, or only the big people are allowed to do things, and it's hard, and even people don't have that much room to experiment musically anymore that much, you know, and that's, I think, why a lot of DJs even are like, well, I'm not a producer, I don't know, you know, and it's like, well, you should be able to like work on it if that's your goal and go into that mode, and then the same way you're like, I want to get better at DJing and do these gigs and play these things that I'm making, you know? Yeah. So yeah, that's really cool. And what about, but so how did you become the in-house DJ producer, you know, all that stuff? Was it kind of what you were saying, where you were seeing what they were doing with the dance thing? Was that the way you?
So I mean, I
came
think
into it?
at first it was like they started building the studio in San Francisco. We've got a beautiful facility.
Oh my God, I've
up
heard
there.
only the best thing. Like I've heard like it's amazing.
It's dope. It's like a whole, when you say compound, this is a compound. Like
Right.
there's
You gotta
there's
come check it
right now
sometime.
there's 3 studios. There's about to be 5. There's a full kitchen where, like, when we do these writing camps, we'll have a chef come in. There's a secondary kitchen, which all the goodies and snacks. There's a dining room area for, you know, you can sit down and be served. There's a theater room. There's a bedroom upstairs. So it's a pretty dope compound. So initially it was to come back and help get this thing going.
Yeah.
And when this opportunity came,
And this is in San Francisco?
in San Francisco,
Wow.
yeah, like right in the heart of.
It's cool to know, too, because you hear so much about, like, San Francisco's dead or whatever, you know, from all these people. And I know it's having its issues, but, I mean, obviously there's still things that are growing and thriving there.
You know, I mean, when I was a kid going to San Francisco was the place to go for all of Northern California when I was growing up. Definitely, I think there's, for, you know, political reasons or Google's there, and so they're buying all this stuff, all the property up. It got really expensive to live, you know. However, it's like it's almost like an empire mission. Like, it's like Ghazi's mission statement is like, I'm born and raised in San Francisco. I'm going to make this place great. Yeah, and so it's about, you know, he bought a club down the street. He's figuring out how to, you know, the office is in downtown. The studio is like 15 minutes, like, you know, by where the Giant Stadium is. Oh, dope. So he's going to he's working with the city to figure out how to create the ecosystem to make it economically work. So it can thrive. Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, to each his own. I'm sure like the younger kids probably don't know, but I know what it once was. Yeah. And, you know, but it can get back there, you know. Yeah. But yeah, so like I come into the situation like to help get the studio running, and I'm multi-versed in all production. So I'm kind of like a Swiss Army knife when it comes to just playing my role in projects, right? Right. And then but we're in COVID at the time. So I'm like, cool, this is a perfect opportunity for me to like dive in, learn the label dynamics, because that's something I never really like when I was out here, like I just wanted to go out and play and DJ. Yeah. And I wanted to be in the studio and make music. Yeah. And if I could get placements on labels or placements with artists, like that was just a part of the process. Right. But it wasn't like, hey, I'm going to learn the label dynamics, the politics, the infrastructure. Like, how does this ecosystem work to market and push it out to Africa, to Europe, to Asia, to South America? And so I took the COVID downtime to really kind of learn how those things were set up. And then when we came out of COVID, like, so my homie Alon, he goes by DJ Soul 7. We have a lot of DJs in the company too, you know. Yeah. He runs our Latin department. He's like our head A&R for the Latin side. And so him and I start like a Latin infused EDM event party coming out of COVID. And Stacy Cunningham, she's, you know, she handles a lot of our events. So like, she starts booking us to do stuff. And I'm like, damn, this is kind of cool. Like, hey, these corporate gigs are pretty nice too. Yeah. And then the DIRTYBIRD team does a festival, How Weird Festival in San Francisco, and they book us along with some of the DIRTYBIRD acts. So it's been cool to just like, they're very supportive on, they see us working towards something, or the team sees us working on something, we'll vocalize about it and what we're trying to do. And man, like, it's a blessing to have a team. Yeah. And a team of people that all are playing their different roles and positions. Right. And like there's no limitations, I think, besides the one you put on yourself. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a very creative environment where, as long as you're on your P's and Q's and you're trying to do something good and represent the team properly. Yeah. I've been able to get that support, and I'm super thankful.
That's dope. So like, what does that average day look like as the in-house producer? Like, do you have to be there all day, or is it just like you guys figure out when you have sessions? Yeah.
So our head of studio management her name's Lola. She comes from Dr. Dre's camp. She was Dr. Dre's chief engineer for the last about 4 years. She has Grammys with Anderson .Paak, and crazy. So it's like
So she kind of knows what she's doing.
she kind of knows what she's doing. So she gets brought in to manage the processes.
Right.
And I'm super thankful that she does that because I don't want to do it.
You mean in terms of what? Just administrative or booking or?
Yeah. So like there's a process like you can't just rent the studio out. It's got to be like it comes in from an A&R.
Okay.
A project gets scheduled. There might be a writing camp built around the project or some sessions booked around the project. The A&R will request like what writers, producers, engineers, and stuff that they want involved in that project.
Okay.
I'm very thankful like to be requested and be continuously
So
put.
you're on the list of people that can be requested.
I mean, they could bring in anybody they want.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, you know, everything's a relationship, and you know, I've been doing this for a while,
right.
13 years. So I'm thankful that I have a decent track record to,
right.
You know, hey,
like they trust you and they're like, listen, we need Clayton in here.
Yeah.
For all of these different types of projects, because he'll know how to handle all this.
And that's how it's been. That's how it was through COVID. So I used COVID to really kind of like show everybody, like Tina Davis was, you know, she managed and discovered Chris Brown, and she's now the president of Empire, and she's a massive influence.
It's cool to see how many women are at Empire, actually.
She's a boss.
There's like a lot, like, because a lot of the people I meet too that I say approach me at gigs sometimes are like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm from Empire, and it's like women a lot of the time.
We have a very diverse team.
I know.
And Ghazi's great. Permanently, like he's on purpose made that a priority.
It seems like it. And I think that's important, you know, because it tends to be the guys club sometimes with things, and we're just used to it, and you know, like and so I think it's important to branch out.
Right. But who are we really playing for or making music for?
Thank you.
Women, right?
At all times.
But like, when I got into the system, like Tina was somebody I really wanted to build with, just because of my massive respect for her.
Right.
And you know, so it was just, again, COVID was an opportunity to kind of show people what I was capable of.
Yeah.
And then and then as we roll out of COVID, these events start popping up, and I'm like, yo, like, I want to do that too. And I get back into my DJ bag. But then, like, I really, like, remixing is a huge passion of mine. So I've I've made that a heavy priority to, like, just be present for those opportunities.
Right. Well, I even heard, like, on DJ City, you just put out that new Afro, the house remix of the Afro beats.
Yeah.
Song. I was listening to it on the way here, but
Yawa by
Yawa
by Fireboy.
Right.
Yeah.
It was dope, and I could hear, and that's probably similar to the stuff you're doing on the compilations and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing in different producer DJs. Like Night Tales is from Florida. They have like a more kind of soulful house vibe.
Right.
Yeah, there's a bunch of there's guys from the UK. There's guys from Egypt, Africa. Different parts of the States. So there's a lot of different people that they're bringing in to really make it like an international thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And you work, so do a lot of the African artists come out to the studio and you'll like record them and work with them in person?
They have, like for instance, Ashake, we recorded, like his album just came out. Man, it did like 500 million streams in like the last, like throughout the summer.
It's insane. And that Lonely at the Top song is huge, right?
Right. So I worked on that.
Oh, that's amazing. That's one of the biggest songs. Isn't there a new remix with someone featured?
Her.
Yeah, her. This morning, I woke up and like my email, like all these different music promotion companies. It's like sending me that song with her on it.
Yeah, it just came out. And then there's also another dance remix that Moody Jones and myself got to work on.
That's great.
So yeah, it's it's really cool to see, because in San Francisco, like that's not a common thing. Like, but Ghazi's making it a point to bring these big artists from different parts of the world to the Bay so we can build our ecosystem up there.
Yeah, because it's huge in England. I mean, like DJing was on the show, and like he made a bunch of edits of there, and he DJ'd for Ashake out in Africa,
Yeah, and he did like a video that went viral for him.
Yeah,
with a bunch of his songs. Yeah, I saw that. That was fire.
Yeah, and he tells a story on here about working with him out there, and he was just like, oh shit, like it's crazy. Yeah, it's cool to see the connection, and yeah, I mean, because when I was in London last summer, I saw like, oh my God, like Afrobeats is massive. Even the past 2 summers I got to go and see, and I was like, it's crazy how big it was out there, and to see it bubbling out here. And now it just feels like it's, just the whole global music scene. It's all coming together. Like now we're playing a song from every country in a way, or every different, you know, type of music and genre. It's all like mixing together.
Yeah. And I mean, I love that, you know, like just culturally, like I'm biracial, I'm multicultural. So I love seeing the diversity in music, and, you know, but again, good music wins. It feeds the soul.
Yes.
You know? And then if you can make people dance, even better.
I know. And I think that's what Afro beats and all it has going for it. You know, there's no set tempo. There's no set anything. You know, it could be, there's no set lyrics or vibes. You know, it's just a bit of everything. So it can, as a DJ, you can be a versatile, diverse DJ with just still that one genre. You know, the African, I guess. Yeah. Influence.
I mean, I'm really passionate about blending it all together. Like to me, seeing like, you know, like just like how Latin music had blown up. Now we're seeing Afro, you know, the Afrobeat stuff blow up. Yeah. But that's why I love per se dance music or electronic music so much. Because, bro, I could take a rock record, and like I was taking a Killers record the other day and seeing like how can I remix this, and then but also beat wise, how do I still make it relatable? So I could take these Afro house joints I'm working on, or the Latin house joints I'm working on, and still play them all in a set.
Right.
Because for me as a DJ, like it's about playing the stuff that I love. Yes. You know, I think earlier in my career, like I caught myself playing a lot of like top 40 and here, let me kind of people please. And I know it's about the people, so I'm not going to take it away from that. But right now in my career, I want to play shit that I love. Yeah. I want you to feel me when I'm playing. Yes. You know?
Yeah, and that's what people love too in the audience. I mean, that's where the genuine connection will come from, you know, and the genuine, like you said, the community. I mean, that's how the community is built, is the trust between both sides, and the people like this like stuff like this, and I'm people like this, so am I. Oh, we're all together. You know, it's like that's what creates that like bond where we're like you trust each other musically, and then everything else grows from that, and then you end up DIRTYBIRD Festival and these things that can happen every year where everyone just comes and like it's music is the centerpiece of it, but it's so much more, you know, and it's the community, like you said. And that's the longest lasting stuff in music and in all culture type of things.
Yeah, it's been really impressive. I mean, you know, Claude Von Stroke, you know, is now playing Insomniac events, and they've built this company from, you know, family-based kind of homey thing, you know.
I mean, DIRTYBIRD's what? It must be over 20 years old.
Probably something like that.
Yeah. Because I remember from, a long time ago. Yeah. And he does a Barclay Crenshaw, you know.
Dude, he's going into his bass era. I'm actually really excited about that.
I played last time I was at Do Over, it was me and him back, like I played right after him, I think. And he was playing like drum and bass and like all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, it was dope.
I'm really excited for that because I think, I mean, like you mentioned, like some of the tech house stuff is getting very redundant. Yeah. A lot of people are doing it right now, but I'm very excited to watch, he's going to flip up, and it's going to give me an outlet to go do that too. Yes. And make that type of music, because he's going to move a culture
for sure
around what he does.
I agree.
So with again, I just love the diversity of where the DJ is at the moment, and where like how many different things we're able to do. Right. You know.
You mentioned earlier, like when you were in LA, that people like Edwin, DJ Phenom from DJ City, and White Shadow, and who we were just hanging with out there, that they would help you out down here. Can you talk more about like your experience down here?
Man, it was like when the twerk era was really happening. The twerk and Moombahton stuff was really starting to pop off, and I was like the kid in the Bay. You know, I think I just heard like DJ Snake's like Bird Machine.
Right.
And I was like, what the heck is that? Like that beat sounds like all the beats I'm making in hip hop. Yeah. But it's got this blippy stuff on top. All right, let me try that. Yeah. So I start doing that, and again, I do this remix with Jay Espinoza. We took Shake That Monkey, and he said, I didn't even like understand what record pulls were at that time. Right. But I think Jay sends it into DJ City, and it charts on DJ City, and he's like coming back to me like, bro, look at like DJs they're effing with this. Yeah. Like, and I'm like, dude, this is nuts. So I start coming down here, and I'm like, who are the guys behind DJ City? Let me go figure this out. Yeah. And so I finally end up getting in contact with Phenom, and he invites me by the DJ City office. That's how I met Anthony, and again, all the
everybody.
crews,
Right.
all the editors and stuff. That's how I started building my relationship with them, and eventually I got to move out here. You know, White Shadow started throwing me in some sessions, and Edwin started throwing me some sessions with DJ Chronic.
Oh yeah.
So he was like,
I just talked to him yesterday. He was in Vegas right now working. I don't know what he's doing. Something with
he's
Lil
like Little John. Yeah, he's like, you
Usher.
sick cunt. Yeah,
You sick cunt.
yeah. But bro, I love him. Like, so
He's great.
I moved out here, and dude, they're booking Paramount Studio for us to make beats, and I'm like, yo, are you serious? Like, how much is this per day?
Right.
And then so me and Chronic are making a bunch of beats. All of a sudden, I'm up at White Shadow's house, and DJ Tay James walks in. And it's Bieber's DJ.
Yeah. He was on 2 weeks ago, actually.
Bro, Tay, hit me. We got to reconnect. But
Yeah.
I haven't really talked to him since then.
Yeah, you should. We were just he was just on 2 weeks ago. We were talking about everything, and again,
Dude, but he takes this beat pack and goes back and gives it to Bieber and Pooh Bear. And like a month later, I'm getting hit. Edwin's calling me. I'm at dinner with Crisco Kid, and we're having Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
And Edwin calls me. He's like, bro, Bieber just cut to a record you guys did.
Oh, wow.
I'm flipping out, bro. This is like the only artist my mom has ever heard of that I've worked with. But sadly enough, like, it just got leaked.
Okay.
And it did really well on all the blogs, but we didn't make the album.
Right.
But it was still like
I'm sure that happens, but I mean, that's still a huge moment and a big encouraging thing for you.
It sent me all over LA. I got to meet so many people through that,
That's huge.
But that was like it's kind of like crushing that was at the time. Cause I'm like, damn, like, but that's when I knew I needed a team. That's when I started having friends reach out, yo, it's time for a team. You got to get sunk in now.
Right. Obviously, some of the biggest artists are hearing your stuff, liking it, making music to it, but you don't necessarily have an organized enough team to push it through, or even if it was going to happen, what would you do, and all that stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, that's how I got connected with them. And again, my admiration for them has been, through the roof.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, now I feel like it's like round 2.
Yeah.
It's like, cool. Now I'm like, my foundation is set. Got my 2 kids. I'm done. I don't need no more kids. Shout out to my wife. But now like I feel like the real work really starts. And again, like it comes from this DJ background, this DJ mindset of like, all right, cool. How do we make people dance? How do we build community? How do we make sure we throw dope events or put together dope events and build the parties and the things and make the music and the remixes and the edits that people want to hear.
Right.
So yeah, that's where these guys were so instrumental to my growth process. Cause I was, my early to mid 20s. Like I didn't know. I just was making music.
Right.
Yeah.
What were some of your craziest like studio sessions that you can remember? I mean, I know you've worked with all types of people from E40 to Asha K, like you were saying.
Yeah. We had a really fun, we did a fun record with Walshy Fire from Major Lazer with a dancehall artist that I work with, Blaka the Dancer. Too Short. I'm actually
with Too Short.
What's cool, and I'm hoping this comes out this year because he recut Blow the Whistle for me.
Oh wow!
So I could remix it.
Oh,
and dope. So I'm working on a compilation project to hopefully get that out this year. In 2024.
I mean, it's like that song you can play it anywhere, Vegas, whatever. Still just kills it. And there's just as big.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of like bootlegs on it.
Right, but
hopefully this will be the first like.
I don't think, and I usually will mix in a remix of a song, but I don't think I have a great remix of Blow the Whistle. Yeah, there hasn't been one.
But yeah, I mean,
ready.
It's stuff like that.
Yeah, that's dope.
One of my friends, Rome, he's a singer for Sublime.
Oh yeah.
A lot of dope, like just writing sessions with him.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could probably go on for a while about this, but
what about like when you were coming up, like producers or DJs that you looked up to? I know you mentioned Jay Espinoza and Jazzy Jim and E-Rock and some of those people. Are there other DJs that you've looked up to or worked with, or even just producers?
I mean, I'm really heavily influenced, Diplo, Snake.
Yeah.
Like those guys are like probably a huge just influence on, hey, you could be kind of multi-genred.
Yes.
But still make great club music and festival music and just great songs.
Yeah.
And it's been an honor to, meet Diplo a few times and know he's supported some of the songs that we've done. And now we got to do a record. You know?
Yeah.
What's up, dude?
Let's go. Diplo, hit him up.
But yeah, I mean, but you know, yeah, I mean, you know, and of course the classics like Timberland or Pharrell, you know, grew up off guys like that.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on his name. Why am I blanking on his name? The guy with the beard. Run DMC and Aerosmith. You know.
Rick Rubin.
Rick Rubin. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I can go back that you know that like that far because I think making great music is about making music that moves people. I think you can make songs that kind of a genre will hit. People kind of start doing the same thing that everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And then you find these moments in music history where like this gets mashed up with this or this collaborates with this.
Yeah.
And it moves culture.
It
moves the masses.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that. Like, you know, how can we?
I think you have a good mindset like that where even like you mentioned in the beginning, you're working with a producer that is big in the African music scene and you're like, look, I know what I can do, but I'm going to let you do that. I think that's a very Rick Rubin approach where it's some people want to be so hands-on and change everything and make every decision, but trusting the team and the people you work with and that openness is actually a talent, you know, to be able to let that go. And then you can take it and put your part on it, but not trying to be the controller of all of it.
I think that's very important. What they call it feng shui.
Yeah, I guess
right,
so, yeah.
right. Let the energy flow.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's really important to understand like what you're great at and what you're okay at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I think when you have a skill set, or you're around music a lot, you can do technically everything. But it's like I'm not the best singer. Why I'm not gonna start singing on all these songs, but I can write songs.
Yeah.
So let me find singers, or let me, you know, hey, I can duplicate what let's say Magic is doing in Afro beats, but I don't have the heart and soul that he does. So let me let me help where I can.
Yeah.
And if you look at the biggest songs, like, bro, there's like 6 writers and producers or 8 on like some of these big records. Like Beyonce had how many producers and writers work on her last album?
Collaboration is the key to all this stuff.
Yeah. And that's I learned that here. I learned that in LA. Like I really learned like, dude, your musical community is so important.
Yeah.
You know, being able to call a great songwriter or guitar player or even a DJ homie that's just like, he's playing another genre than per se maybe you are.
But he's an expert or she's an expert.
Specialist. Yeah. He's a specialist.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you produce on?
Ableton.
Okay. Just strictly Ableton?
Ableton, and then I'll record and mix in Pro Tools.
So
but
Ableton's your go-to, like open up, start the beat. Like, what's your process? Like, how would you start a song or a beat?
I generally start with like simple drums because maybe I don't know where I'm going yet.
Right.
But it just be like, you know, it's like putting on the click track. Yeah. But then you figure out the melodies. You know? Yeah. And you know, White Shadow and some other guys have taught me like, dude, you don't need a lot. To start a record, like, but you need to give the songwriter, or if you're remixing, like you have the vocal and you kind of build around that, but you just need a couple elements to kind of get the vibe going.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the thing. I think a lot of times, especially DJs, that's notes I've gotten back from other producers where I'm like, check this out. They're like, you're doing a little too much. Like, you try to add too many things, and you have to leave space for the artist to work with, right? Because there's going to be a lot more added onto. You don't want to give them like a full cup. You know, it's like we have to be able to add in some ingredients and stuff.
Exactly, because the voice is an instrument itself.
Right, and you have to leave it open for those frequencies and all that stuff.
Exactly. There you go. You know what you're talking about.
I mean, I know it's just the execution part, but yeah, I mean, that's so interesting. And so like, what and it must feel amazing to be able to play your records now as the DJ in that thing. Like, what are some of the events that you've been able to do that at?
So there's this cool party. Too Deep has been he's with Steve Aoki's camp.
Okay.
They got a party called Reggaetonlandia.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's huge here in LA and it's big in the Bay.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a goal of mine. Like, shout out to them and the team, the Social SF team. Like, they invited me out to come and play.
Dope.
This last summer.
Nice.
I mean, it's a big Latin like EDM party.
Right.
And so it's cool to like, you know, play records that I love, but then play some of like my Latin house remixes.
See the crowd react.
Yeah, and then, the How Weird Street Festival, like, is a massive, like, thousands of people on the street in San Francisco, and
Right.
like, so to have the Dirty Bird guys rock, and DJs that I look up to, like, in our community, play and be able to do what we do there, and it's been cool. And then I've been able to play all the biggest nightclubs in San Francisco last summer, so it's been nice to kind of get back out. And now this summer will be another test to cool. All right, now because before COVID I was doing like West Coast tours, like Northern California, Vegas, LA, San Diego, and then kind of it paused. COVID, the world shut down, so I'm now eager to now get back into that for next year. So that's kind of what we're planning.
Do you have any like things that you put into every song? Like, I know some producers are like, I always need a guitar running in it, or like something. Like, is there any like standard thing you use in all your tracks, or are you just always open to?
I think it depends on the genre, but I'm a big bass guy.
Yeah.
So like
has to have bass.
808s is like a big thing for me.
Makes sense.
And I'm also like, and I had this debate with like some of my house producer friends. I like vocals, like some house tracks, they don't have any vocals.
Right.
I want something to sing,
or
rap to, or a word to catch on to.
Yeah.
But it's tasting.
Of course. Yeah. But I mean, that's what makes you, the Clayton William production.
Exactly.
Where'd you get that drop?
So I have a couple of them, but this last one is too short.
Okay,
so
dope.
It's like it's Clayton William, bitch.
No, that one, yeah.
And then
and you have that other low voice one, or it's like Clayton.
Yeah, Clayton William. That's my boy Miller.
Okay,
because that's on the So the Too Short one I started using about 4 years ago, and then Little John just gave me one, so I'll probably start throwing that one in, at least in my sets. He'll probably get mad if I throw it on my records, but
I mean, he's Gangsta Grizzles,
Right.
That made them, so you're allowed to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, Uncle Too Short's been cool with the. He hasn't came at me yet for royalties or nothing.
Oh yeah, it's like, I know. Do some people get royalties of having their drop?
I have no clue. I don't know. So
that's funny to think about. I know I was using my drop at this gig, and people were like, "Is that just like an AI generated thing?" And I'm like, "No, it's Little John just saying my name."
Right.
I'm like pushing a button. They're like, "Oh, it's like everybody thinks everything's AI now."
What did you see? Did you see? I think it was a handful of months ago. Like David Guetta, he did like an AI Eminem.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was when everything was so. AI will now take over. Fake Drake will win a Grammy.
That shit is getting crazy. I had a meeting with this producer writer up in San Francisco, and he played a Drake record over a Future bass beat.
Okay.
Then he played a Kanye, Rihanna, Kendrick song, and then like a Gucci Man, J. Cole song, and these things sounded perfect.
And they're fake?
And I'm sitting here like, dude, who produced this? This is crazy. He's like, oh, I did. He gets like 6 records in, and Ghazi's like, yo, tell him what you're doing. He's like, he wrote it, he recorded the voice, and made the beat, and he knows how to do all the AI software stuff. And these things sounded immaculate.
Oh my God. Is he the ghost guy on TikTok?
I'm not going to throw his name out there because I don't know if he wants to do that. But, yo, this guy is so amazing. And so to see, like, where this stuff's going.
Right.
And then, again, like, we walk in and White Shadow shows me this program. Oh, you could just tell it what genre you want. And it'll give you the...
Like, what's going on with that program? Are you allowed to say? Or?
Soundful?
But how does it work? Like, what do you mean?
You gotta ask him about it. Yeah, I'm not a tech guy like that.
Okay,
but I know I need to learn it.
But when you say you could just make a beat like that, what do you mean? Like you say, hey, give me a bass line that sounds like Another One Bites the Dust?
He said, okay, so he said it asked you a few questions. What genre do you want to make? So the first one that was there was like slap bass. So I'm thinking like, okay, this might be like some Tiesto shit, and then you click the next button. What key is it in? The mood. Press generate. Like a minute and a half went by, and then I titled it. So I'm like, all right, White Shadow, this is our first beat together, and I titled it Clayton and White Shadow, and then generate.
Right.
And it spit out this track that sound like.
You typed, so it's text to music.
Bro, this is like a vibe of like, let's get down to business. Tiesto and like Tiesto and Ty Dolla $ign's record.
Right.
So I just used it for the first time like an hour ago, so I still got to go through it.
We don't know.
But he's been telling me about this for like 2 years.
Right.
And then so to come up here and then finally use it in front of him, I'm like,
oh man, all right,
all right, this shit's crazy.
What
there's AI vocals that is becoming a thing.
Yeah.
There's now AI beats that sound phenomenal. Now I still think there's going to be a level of like you're going to get generic outputs.
Right.
So
because I do see it as still a bit of a novelty, not what you're talking about with White Shadow, but in the, I got the Drake song thing, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that got hyped for a minute, but is it really going to be taking over the game? The fake Drake, not necessarily the fake all the other things. But
I don't know, but I heard they're going to do like a Michael Jackson album with it.
Right.
I heard
something dope I heard?
Somebody's probably going to go do a Beatles
But I also
album,
just heard the DOC's making a whole album. And he lost his voice in the in an accident like 30 years ago.
That's crazy.
So he was like, I feel blessed. Like, this is like he's like, God works in mysterious ways, because he's like 30 years later, I am now able to actually put out an album with my old voice using AI, and I'm going to write it all and say it, and then the AI is going to do it. So, damn, I never thought of that.
His inflections, like how he would do it.
And he's the one making it, and it's him.
Yeah.
So it's not someone else bootlegging him. So that's kind of cool. There'll be things that we never would have thought of, and probably good use cases and bad use cases. You know?
For sure. And just like everything else,
right.
Like you're going to have your good and your bad to all of it.
Yeah. And now Grimes is like, hey, make a song and I'll split the publishing with you or something,
That's crazy. But I mean, I guess like from what I've been hearing internally, like it'll probably become like a cosplay type of genre, if that makes sense.
Right.
People will go up and go and dress like Star Trek forever, Well, now producers and writers can mimic their favorite artists.
Interesting, yeah.
I mean, that's how they're kind of making it out. But I mean, I'm being told like laws are being written about this right now, so it will be eventually monetized, but like the artist might take a very heavy royalty.
Just like when you sample a song and then sometimes you hear like, oh, I made this hit song, but I got 0% because they took everything, but I got famous from it, but that's it. So it could be something like that, Yeah. It's like, all right, you can use my voice, but I'm going to take 100%,
Yeah.
Or like, I forget, there was some song. Yeah, some groups you think they make all this money, and it's like, no, the person that owns the original song took 100%.
Yeah. Well, now let me ask you this on the flip side. How do you feel about technology in the DJ world?
I'm cool with all of it. I mean, I utilize it. You know what I mean? I mean, I think that, like, I utilize. I was trying to use ChatGPT playlisting services, for gigs. Let's say I'm doing a certain private kind of gig, I'll type in, can you make a playlist like this, like this, like this? Like, I'm not going to use 100% of it, but I'm going to use, like I did this Party Electric Feels, I know all the music from that. I came up in that world. I have it. But I'll still ask AI to help me make a playlist, because even if they think of 3 songs I never would have thought of out of 300, that's still good for me. And then that sparks me going down a hole of, oh yeah.
There's this song.
Yeah,
that's cool. I never
that's
thought of
cool. Spotify, all these different services have really good, sounds like this type thing. So when I'm doing a gig, I'm like, okay, let's, or even if I hear a new song, like there's a new, I mean, we're talking about Afro House, there's this, I don't know how you say the group, like Le Gout or something, like, but like, it was like this song,
French.
Or no, Rampa or something, it's like this cool kind of, like this shit, and I was like, okay, and I played this at a gig, and, everybody was kind of like dancing and loving it, and I didn't have that much more stuff to follow up in that vibe. It's 120. It has those like, almost like that vibe. It's Afro housey,
Yeah.
And so I then plug that into all the different sites, from Beatports to Spotify's to like see all the related things, and then go, oh, okay. 70% of the stuff I got back probably doesn't work, but damn, that one song does sound like it. Okay, now that's in with it, and then I start to utilize those. It's almost like a friend. It's like when I used to have DJ friends, but I have an artificial intelligence friend.
Yeah, I like how you relate to that, because I find myself getting stuck in that sometimes. I'm like, oh, I really love this song, but I like to go into vibes.
Right.
You know, so I don't want to just play one song and then go get off the vibe.
Right.
So you need the consistent, hey, let me at least get three or so records in that
then
space.
I can just do that space. Then I can, then I'll go in the disco house or something, you know, that I know I have 20 songs like that and it's dope and I know how to, the ones that'll make the people go crazy.
Yeah.
But when it's a new genre, and especially like I do so many private events and these Netflix things and all this stuff, and they'll be very specific. So like I did the Barry, you know, 4th season premiere for HBO, and it's inside of a cemetery and it's about killing people and like all these things. And I get all the songs from the show, but they don't want me just to play all the songs from the show. So then I use those, I make a playlist out of them, and then I'm using songs that are adjacent to it and the same vibe or, you know, stuff like that. And then, I mean, using the Netflix, like, you know, example, like I was saying, I just did this event for them on the golf course, and they gave me access to like their back end system of like how they use these library music in their shows.
Right.
And they had some crazy AI stuff. Like, I mean, I was able to like drag in YouTube videos and it would help me find songs sound like it, or I could type in, I need an epic theme song for a sports show with horns and drums that sound like a hip hop, old school 90s from the Roots. And like, you know, just the more you can describe, then it would try to get it. And like, sometimes it wouldn't, but, or you'd find one song like it, then I could expand on that song. So I feel like it's just another tool in the same way that Beatsource is another tool for me. Like if I'm going into an Afrobeats mix and people are loving it and I played the 4 Afrobeat songs that I know kill it, I go in the Beatsource Afrobeats playlist that DJing made because he's an expert on it and he has those songs in there edited. So I'm like, thank you, Beatsource, thank you. So any extra tool I can use, I will utilize, I think, you know. And so I like it. You know, I don't think it's an end all be all. You don't have to only use one thing, only use that thing. It's not like I don't think it's going to take over. There's something to a human that we can read the crowd and we can be versatile. I don't think the AI knows how to be versatile, you know, and I think that everybody that's so worried about, oh, it's going to take over. I think it can do a very good job at learning how to do a thing and doing it and acting like a human doing a thing and giving you all the information and like all the stuff that you might forget about on the fringes. But I don't think it could handle a curveball, you know, and I don't know how they could build that into it. And I think that's the beauty of a human being producer, DJ, musician. Things happen in the world and you have to be able to adjust to that shit, you know? And I don't think an AI could do that. And maybe they can show me that it can, but I've never seen anything that would be able to do that. So that's why I don't really feel any job insecurity at the moment. Even for producers where it's like, yo, it can do anything. It's like, okay, put it in the studio with Fireboy and then see what it does. You know what I mean? You need you there. You know, things are going to happen that are... And your musical knowledge as a human, I think, is more nuanced and different. Even if the AI knows more stuff, you know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't have that X factor that Clayton William has, you know, and that DJ Spider or that someone will bring to the table, I think.
Your taste, your flavor.
Yeah, and just your experience and stuff. So maybe it'll get there one day, but I wonder if...
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it's been cool to see it all move and experiment with it. But... yeah, I don't know. You know, I just kind of keep watching and you know, definitely get surprised. I saw the scarier thing is the videos. You know what I mean? Like you know, I don't like.
Are you getting those emails with it's like it's your homie, but it's not. It's like a cartoon or animated version of them telling you what's going on.
I haven't got that.
Oh, dude, I've gotten some of those, and it's a trip.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. I just saw like my friend sent me. He's like. I can't even explain what he does, but a lot of cool graphic things and just creating campaigns. And he was showing me with that Unreal Engine. It's like how they build video games and stuff. But he was showing me this stuff, and he was like, look, within 2 years, you're not going to be able to tell if it's a video or if it's just some made-up thing. Because it looked real. It looked like this car had been blown up, and there was smoke coming off of it and fire. But then he's like, watch this. And then you could see the mouse going and moving around the smoke and doing the thing. But it was like watching a movie, like for real. I'm like, I wouldn't have known that was fake until you showed me it. So And the amount of people online already that are passing on stupid fake videos, like, look, this is happening. And it's like, okay, like, we can't even tell anymore, what's going on.
Yeah,
so
for real.
that's going to, and then the voices, and it's going to get confusing, And I think people tend to trust things that they see on the internet or anywhere within 1 second, and it's like, it's going to have to be like super fact check sites, that are like, nope, that's a fake video, know,
right.
and then people won't even believe that. But
right.
It's crazy. I don't know, but I like it. I like all the technology. I think it's all can just help us in a way. Like, I have visions of what there could be, like you said, we're going to call a bass player over, but I feel like you could probably have an AI bass player that you can train as your assistant, and they can keep learning and learning. I mean, it could be like, I've been training this AI for 3 years on different bass lines, and they sit in on all my sessions and listen and see how I approach things. And then eventually it could give you 10 ideas, right? And then you choose it and then readjust the MIDI notes, and like, it could be crazy shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably being worked on already.
It has to be, right? Otherwise, we need to make that and then get $1 billion. But crazy, man. What other, you got any like projects that you're working on coming up that you want to talk about, or we can't talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about what's to come. I just got the opportunity where I'm going to A&R my first project.
That's great.
So, I mean, I'm stepping into new territory. Got to learn how to, manage a little bit better, manage my time and my relationships.
Right.
Yeah, I can't really say what I'm working on yet, but I'm excited about it. Put it that way.
Right.
It's about taking all these relationships that I've been able to build over the last 12 plus years and finally utilize it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little dream project.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, right now it's more so, I'm excited that this Afro House project is out.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm always dropping remixes and dropping content. I'm trying to get better at this whole content creation thing that we're expected to do every day, you know? Yeah, totally. So that's been a learning curve, but I've kind of taken this little, this time off to kind of, hone in like what that's going to be, whether it's, coming up with DJ routines and making that a consistent thing, or production remix tips, or, just trying to really find like that groove online. Yeah. And then outside of that, really kind of hone in on, where I want to be next summer and how to start working toward that. Right. And again, like I look at DJing as a platform for the projects that I work on and the artists that I work with. Yeah. So it's really like, as much as it's about these visions and these ideas that I think like we've all been given, I still look at it as a tool in a way, like how do I service my team, my community? Yeah. And give people a good time, Right. How do we put together a great show? Yeah. So that's where my head's at for next year.
That's dope. And I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but it seemed like you said a lot of the people in Empire have DJ backgrounds, which we've talked about it on other episodes. Like, do you feel like being a DJ, what type of skills do you think, or I guess, what advantages do you think DJs have working in the music business in an A&R role or other roles? How do you think that helps them?
I mean, one, you understand music and groove and sound, different sounds and what makes people move. Right. And I think that's kind of like the factor, right? Like when you understand how to connect music with a certain audience, type of people and audience, then you can then reverse engineer the music. Yeah. Like I think like when I was growing up, like whether it was like Duck Sauce or like, a Dead Mouse or Cascade, or even in hip hop, like a Trax a Million or a Rick Rock or a Timberland or a Pharrell, like when you hear their songs and then you get out there and you play their records, right? And you see people react to it and you're like, oh, okay, like why does that feel the way it feels? Yeah. And so that's kind of like the engineer brain in me, like the producer brain in me is like, right. I've studied so much music because of the ability to love to play for people and then use that DJ understanding to kind of how to reverse engineer a record and, oh, this is why it works. Right.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a good way to put it. And what about like I think something that's hard for DJs that are trying to go into being producers, I know you've done it like sort of the opposite way, like you said, but is that almost like rejection factor, like, or insecurity factor? Like, how do you play something for people without feeling like, oh God, are they going to like it or not? Or like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, the insecurity part is one thing. I think you got to get over that and you got to test it, right?
Yeah.
But the real hurdle that I see is it's just production knowledge or production understanding.
Yeah, okay.
But most DJs that I'm like, most of my DJ friends, like, yo, you got great ideas. So I've kind of been that conduit for some of like my DJ friends.
Right, so it's good for a DJ to even link up with a producer like you, where like we talked about before, where certain people have different strengths, and that's what I do tell my DJ friends, like, yo, your ideas are dope. Oh, I don't know how to make it, or the drums suck, you know. It's like, okay, we'll find someone that can help you.
Right, and it might take them a week to make that idea. It'll take me an hour and a half.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, there's a production hurdle that definitely like, as being a DJ and then executing those ideas, it does take time for that.
Right.
It's that whole 10,000 hours thing.
Yeah.
Like I did that. I did that shit, you know? But now it's like, but that's how I feel about now perfecting the art of DJing.
Right.
Like, or at least to the level that I want to be able to deliver and perform at. Yeah. Now I've got to make sure I put that time in too. So there's no substitute for putting in the work.
Right.
You know, but then man, like I dropped out of college. I didn't graduate, stay in school, but I go to YouTube University every day.
Of course, yeah.
You know, hey, there's this new production trick or this new like software that comes out or there's new, the new fucking mixer that comes out. And it's like, dude, you got to learn it. You know, you got to adjust. Like I had this nightmare like during the summer because I like I got like my home setup is like I got a Pioneer, the SRT.
Okay.
And it's just comfortable to use. Like I love Serato, but I know moving into, especially jumping more into the dance world and playing more dance gigs, it's all CDJ based. It's all record box based.
Right.
So I had this dream and it hit me hard. Like I'm playing my first major festival and I didn't know the tools properly and I bombed.
Oh, wow.
And then I wake up like literally like shaking. I'm like,
crazy.
I got my ass online. Like as soon as I got up, ordered me some CDJs, started studying record box more just to be prepared. Like there's no like substitute for like being great at your craft.
Yes. No, it's so true. I know. Yeah. And it's hard because I mean, the stuff's expensive, but it's like, and people are like, oh, I just use it at the club. But it's like, it is good to know the ins and outs of all this stuff, you know? Yeah. Especially if that's what you're trying to make your life. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
And I think like I asked Diplo this one time, I'm like, how do you do all this shit? You run a label, you produce, you engineer, you DJ, you got all these side groups and projects. Right. And he's like, I don't. I have a great team.
Right. Delegation.
But look at how hard he's worked.
Yeah.
And how much time he's put in to all of these different aspects. Yeah. You still got to know it.
Of course.
In order to learn how to manage and delegate.
Yeah.
You know, and so salute to people who can do that at a very high level, you know?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, and the lesson that we've learned on hundreds of episodes of this show is like, you can't do anything all by yourself. You can start it all by yourself, but you're not going to finish or get to the exact place you want to be, you know? And working with other people and finding like-minded people is going to be how you're going to get things to the next level, you know, and experimenting, and you never know, you know, but you have to be willing to take risks, put yourself out there, and work with people. Yeah. And fail.
It's like, but failure can't be looked at as
the end.
Yeah. It's I'm learning. This is another learning lesson.
And that's the same with, like I was saying, like making beats and playing it for people. Like, what if they don't like it? Like, what happens?
Dude, it's funny because like if I ever introduce you to one of my childhood friends, I've known this dude my entire life, you know, like since I was 1 year old. Yeah. I remember playing him my first beats in like 8th grade. Yeah. He laughed at me. He said, yo, you suck. And fucking got out the car. And
you're like, I'm in 8th grade, bro.
And then now, like, you know, you keep going at it. You keep going at it. And now he'll call me and be like, bro, are we going on that G5 plane yet? And I'm like, I'm not there yet. Just give me some time. But it's going to happen, you know?
That's dope.
So, you know, it just goes to show, like, you know, you have to follow your own gut and intuition. Like nobody can tell you where you're supposed to be, and nobody can read your mind on what you want. Yeah. So that's where we got to dig deep and go in and like really understand, like, what do we want this? Yeah. Because it's going to take that much time to get there.
That's true.
I'm trying to be gentle. I'm in this space in life where I'm trying to be like nicer to myself.
You should be.
I think when I was younger, like it's like if I wasn't, you know, like you're like you're really hard on I was really hard on myself when I was younger. Like,
right.
You know, to be great. I wanted to be so great. And then I get to a certain point where like, okay, now I don't feel like I have to prove as much. I just have to execute better.
Yeah.
And that's where the teamwork comes in. That's where like just being a good human comes in. And,
yes.
And learning how to work with the feng shui we're given.
Yes.
You know?
Honestly, that's very important. Like as simple as it sounds, like those are almost hard things to tap into, you know?
And I think it's really difficult when you're young. Like everybody I started doing music with, they don't
right.
do it no more, you know?
Or they do. Yeah, same. I know what you mean. Like there's certain friends that have still stayed around but it's hard, or they've had to go do different things or do different things with music that I know is not their dream or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody's calling is different.
Yeah, and everybody's time frame and path is different too. So, and they'll get inspired by different things. And like you said, you heard, oh, I can do that. You know what I mean? They're making those twerk songs. That's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? I remember seeing DJ AM or Mark Ronson going, wait a second, I'm not them, but like I know my part that I could play in this, you know, like.
Dude, Little John is in his 50s headlining Vegas. You know what I mean?
Trust me. I mean, I met him, you know, I met him like.
And so come on, like.
Yeah.
The expiration date is not what we think it is.
Also, he had been a DJ, stopped, and then I remember I met him in New Orleans. Like it was the first home game of the New Orleans Saints after Hurricane Katrina, and I got booked to do the after party for Reggie Bush. And I went to the game, and then I went to the go DJ my set, and they were like, Lil Jon's here, and this was like 2007 or something, you know, and I was like, oh, damn, I did this mashup, you know, that I always did with his song, and then ended up meeting him, and he's like, yo, I want to learn Serato. Will you teach me?
Tight.
And I went over to his house. I started showing him. I was like, you can do this, you could do that. And he's like, yo, we need to start a group and do all this stuff. So we had a MySpace page, and like we would do 4 turntable show. And we traveled all over, you know, America, went to Mexico, and
I had no idea.
We made these CDs called Rock Box, and we made an all 80s mix, we made an all rock mix, and we did the opening at Tao Beach, we did like all this stuff, and I would tell him, I was like, you could be like a huge DJ in Vegas, like almost like Fat Man Scoop, but you have the vocals, but you also have the DJ skills. And I would come, like I remember the first time I went over, I showed him, I gave him all the acapellas, I showed him how I was doing the mashups. I came back and he was like, I put Red Hot Chili Peppers over this beat, and it's the craziest thing ever. And he was like, it was like when I had first done it, and he was like, we would link like every night almost, you know, and we would DJ all night, like till the sun came up, making these crazy mixtapes. I have them. I'll play for you. Like they're not so the greatest, but you know.
But that's so cool, like how you played a part in like his growth, and
he still gives me props. Like when I hear him on you know, interviews, he'll tell this story too. And he helped me so much. And I was like, what the hell? Lil Jon wants to talk to me? Like, there's no way. Oh my God.
That's crazy.
He's so funny. Yeah. Every time I see him still, he's like, oh man.
Didn't you do Blink 182 also?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do like a drum DJ thing with Travis Barker, like whenever he calls me to do it.
You're the fucking goat. How do you go from Blink 182 to fucking Lil Jon?
But I got to open for them for the summer, like 2016 for 3.5 months. I opened for them like every show, that whole tour. And I lived on a bus. Yeah. Did not know what that was like. I had toured at that point for 10 years straight every weekend of my life on an airplane. Never had I done a bus.
Oh, wow.
And the way they described it, they're like, you're going to go, you know, you're going to leave your family. You're never going to be able to go home. Yeah. And I'm like, come on. I'm like, look, I go home sometimes for 8 hours and then I fly back out. Yeah. Like, don't worry about me, you know, but they were totally right.
So here's a question for you, because this is kind of like a phase in the career where I'm at. How do you go or decide on picking the right agency or partners to help you with that aspect?
I mean, this is a constant question I get also through Instagram and hello everybody writing me. You know what I mean? Like,
imagine.
I don't know.
I suck at trusting people, so I'm trying to learn how to like.
I'm with you.
Open up a little bit.
Know, I think. I guess I just had a conversation with someone that like had blown up through all this social media stuff, right? So he has probably millions and millions and millions of followers or plays and all the stuff, you know. And But he's in the Midwest, and he's like, what do I do? How do I get a manager? How do I know how to trust people, all these things? And this person wants this person wants this. And I said to him, look, there's no right answer. Obviously, you have to look at it like marriage. Like, if you knew when you wanted to marry your wife, like, these people, you're going to be in a relationship with them. You're going to talk to them more than your wife. Yeah. You're going to get in more fights with them than your wife. You know what I mean? So you got to be able to get that feeling that you want to be in a relationship with them, you know, even if it's not, if it's just speaking, but it's like you're in that type of thing. But also, you don't know. So don't set yourself up in some crazy contract where you're going to be fucked. But, like, it's an investment. Like, because they're like, I don't know. I don't want to give them 10% or 20%. And then, like, what the hell? And it's like, you know what? Like, you think all these VCs, people in San Francisco, like, they invest tons of money. They lose 90% of it, but they might make money on the other one. So you're investing in yourself. And to me, it's like, if you, let's say, work with someone for a year even, and you give them 20% of all your stuff and nothing comes out of it, that sucks. But also, so what? You invested 20% into this business that you tried to start that didn't work. And now you're still going. You still have the talent. You're still keeping it moving. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But look at it like an investment in a way, you know.
And 100% of nothing is still nothing.
Right.
Versus,
you know, you never know.
80% or 50% of a lot.
And they're like, I don't want to give the people. I mean, you have to give them the money. You have to invest. You have to make them feel like it's worth it for their time as well. Of course, so it's just taking risks, I guess, you know, and talking to other people in the industry and go, oh, do they have a bad reputation? Are they good? Do I get along with them? You know, are the people that are saying they have a bad reputation, is it for ulterior motives? Like, it's just hard. There's so many things to weigh. Right. So there's no right answer. I've worked with a bunch of different managers and booking agents, and there's always been pros and cons. But at the end of the day, like you said, trying to find a person that is a good human and a trustworthy person is really a good backbone thing to go with, because that's hard to find, especially in our world, you know.
That's interesting you say that.
You want to have people that you can trust, you know, and that's really hard, you know.
And that's what I think one of the hardest shifts for me to understand is I came into this with just such a genuine love for the art and the craft. Right. Then learning how to transition this shit and make it a living and turn it into a business, and learning how to develop business models around your
probably one of the hardest things for all of us, the people that got into it for the real music thing, you know. And to go into the business side of it, you know. There's people that just are from the business side, and then it's kind of easy for them because, like, I don't really care about music. I just want to make money. So it is.
And that's what I love, like, again, about, like, the team I work with at Empire is, like, I think we all come from that space. And then I mean, even like Ghazi was an engineer, producer, artist at one point in time, and all the way down. Right. But I noticed everybody he's bringing in on the team is also an entrepreneur. Okay. So that's very interesting to like, we have this interesting dynamic of that. So it's like, there's nobody necessarily micromanaging, like nobody micromanages what I'm doing. Yeah. But they're all trusting that I'm doing what's best, not only for the company, but for myself, for my team. Yeah. And I really like that process as well. Right. But I can imagine, you know, like, you got to be around the right people, Because out LA, you already know, LA is a whole other model. It's a whole other beast.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, every night I'm DJing. I mean, I'm getting, you know, there's people offering you business ideas or saying they know this person, or they're getting you free MacBooks, or like, I don't know. There's always some stupid thing, you know what I mean? And then you can see like the cocaine trickling out of their nose, but you're like, please stop talking to me. You know what I mean? It's like, like, you can tell them, they're so hyped. Like, oh my God, I love you. You know, you're like, okay, you're taking it too far. Like, you're on drugs. Yeah. But there's
how was that Molly?
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, let's talk in the morning and see how you feel. Yeah. But I think it's just that, and just like anything else, and then if it doesn't work out, you're on to the next. And, but trust in your own skills and your own like quality as a human being, how you've treated other people and, you know, like situations in your life. And if you know you're good, and then you link up with other people, you know. Yeah. But there's no right answer to it all, you know, and it's all crazy timing and stuff like that. Right. Because even with Lil Jon thing, I remember I was saying, hey, you should sign up. My manager at the time, I was like, yo, he's going to blow up, like do all this stuff. And they were like, oh, I don't know. And then he goes and signs off, with Scam. I wasn't with Scam. And like, I'm cool with everybody, but it was like, it's a funny time,
Yeah.
It was, but yeah, John's the GOAT. He's just so passionate about it,
Yeah. And he's a real pro to work with.
Oh, yeah.
I got to learn a lot, like working on this last project with them.
Yeah.
The meticulousness, the attention to detail, and it made me want to like, okay, cool. Like everything about my craft, it's like, okay, let me sharpen this. Let me sharpen this. Let me sharpen this. Cause that's what that's what he's doing.
And that's where the practice comes in.
And at the stage of the game that he's in,
Yeah. He's at the stage where songs he made 20 years ago are coming back again and being remade and sampled and turned into hits again.
Bro, crazy, right?
Even the J Balvin song just came out, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a up-tempo,
yeah.
Latin-ish, almost
Kinda
I'm a
deep housey,
piano-ish.
yeah.
It's like everything ever with dun, 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 under it.
How did Callie get involved in that?
How does Callie get involved in anything? I mean, he yells his name.
Right.
No, I mean, he's connected, relationships, like you said. But I mean, they performed it at the F1 launch last night.
Yo, great record though.
And he was wearing the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
J Balvin. It was like a 42 XL jacket. Like it looked like a cartoon. Like he was wearing like a fireman outfit that was made for like Victor Wembanyama times 100. Like it was like the biggest thing I've ever seen. But dope. I figure maybe he was trying to go viral off people just like taking pictures of it.
Right.
But yeah, exactly. So, and that's the thing with music. It's infinite and it goes on forever and it's cyclical and all that stuff. So
yeah, it's
really cool. Yo, it's been so fun talking to you.
Likewise.
All that. How can everyone find you and keep up with you online? Just Clayton William.
Yeah, Clayton
everywhere.
William on Instagram.
Okay.
Produced by Clayton William on TikTok. I'm trying to build that thing a little bit more.
Produced by Clayton William on TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay, dope. And Clayton William on Instagram and on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or X or whatever it's called. And then
shout out to Elon.
Yeah. And then and on Spotify and all that. And on DJ City, look them up, guys.
Yeah.
Beatsource, all that. You have got some really dope stuff on there that
Thank you, brother.
always download, play, and
thank you.
Like I said, since the remixes you've been putting out, E-Rock and J Espinoza and all those.
Yeah, it's been a fun 10-year journey, and it's like we were just talking about. It can go for as long as you want it to.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm just getting started all over.
I really think you are 100%. I know you are. There's no question. And like 10 years, sometimes it's just the beginning of a lot of things.
Yeah.
The amount of all this stuff happens, and then the next 10 years, you don't even know. So, I think it's great. You got your 1-month-old baby too. That gives you that dad superpower, man. There's something about it that like it puts you to work, like for real, that people don't realize. You probably know from your other kid, but it's like you're like, I need to make this happen for other people besides myself.
Exactly.
And it just gives you that purpose.
Yeah.
So,
amen to that.
Yeah, dope. All right, yo, Clayton William, thank you for coming on the podcast. Appreciate it.
Brother.
Yes. And we will see you. Have some good sessions out here in LA. We'll see you in the Bay, and I'm excited to come see your DJ show too.
Hell yeah.
All right. Peace. All right, that was great. Thank you to Clayton William for coming in. You guys go make sure you check out his music, check out his remixes, support this guy. He's doing great things, and he's only going to go up from here. The 20 podcast is produced by Beatsource. Join us next week for more interviews as we discuss music that matters to DJs. I'm DJ Spider signing off. Peace.